All right, welcome in Oilers fans, Canucks fans, fans of both teams. It's our crossover episode of Oilers Nation Everyday and Canucks Conversation. I'm Tyler Yaremchuk. He is David Quadrelli. We did this last year. People seem to love it, so we figured why not run it back? And I love talking to you, Quad, so it's a win-win for everybody.
That's right, and it's been a while since we've actually got to just chat about hockey, and I'm glad. Again, we were talking baseball before the show, and hopefully we aren't doing that for this show because I am a nervous wreck as the Seattle Mariners get set to play the Detroit Tigers. But yes, hockey is back. Both of our teams have played the Calgary
Yeah.
Flames. Now I want to start there. That's my first question for you. Explain to me what happened in that game between the Oilers and the Calgary Flames.
Oh, they just blew their foot clean off. Like the Oilers played really well. Like the first period was absolutely dominant. The jokes were writing themselves that like Jack Roslovic saw the Oilers for one period and was like, I'm in, like I'm signing with you guys. And then in the second period, there was one goal that was just kind of an unlucky, fluky bounce. There was another one that was a result of Darnell Nurse just thinking it was point night, I guess, and trying to do an end-to-end rush, and it blew up and immediately turned into a goal against the other way. And then Evan Bouchard, Stuart Skinner combined for a pretty terrible blooper reel goal, we'll call it. That was more on Skinner than Bouchard. And then, I mean, you know from watching the sport, when you go to overtime, it's a total
Sure.
crapshoot, and the Oilers miss on a power play, goes to an 8-round shootout, they lose. Like, I'm not all that pressed about it. I think the Oilers were the better team for the bulk of that hockey game, and they just made some mistakes that really blew up in their face. So some Oilers fans are freaking out. A lot of people are doing the whole like goalie problem, goalie problem, goalie problem. I'm sitting there saying, listen, it's one game. Like things were fine. They showed that they have the bones of a cup contender once again, which isn't exactly a surprise. So yeah, I'm not really worried about the Oilers opening night loss. I guess the way I'll flip it to you for the Canucks opening night win is, hey, a lot of the question marks, Philip Hedl, things like that. Hedl looked great. The Canucks look great. Are people starting to really believe in this team, even though it's just one game? Or are people kind of saying like, whoa, 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 let's give it 10 to 20 games here?
Yeah, I mean, optimism's high, right? And my co-host on Canucks Convo, Harmon Dial, who's a lot less of a homer than I am, he's a lot more even keeled than I am. He had a really good thing heading into this year where he just said, like, if you can get 40 starts from Thatcher Demko and you can get 70 games from Philip Hedl, this is a playoff team. And Philip Hedl really brought it last night. Again, that was a big statement game because even heading into game one, Tyler, it's been all offseason. We've been having this conversation out in Vancouver of, oh, well, they need to go get a 2C. And it sounds like Philip Hedl took that personally because he did look really, really good last night. Now, some context for Oilers fans because, you're going to look at that scoreline and say, oh, well, the Canucks just dummied the Flames. Flames were arguably the better team through the opening 40 minutes of play. The Canucks were lucky to get away with a 1-0 lead heading into the third period. And then the Flames just, they were tired, man. Like they were tired. They played the night before. I don't even want to talk about the Dustin Wolf factor. Again, he starts on back-to-back nights, a long shootout against the Oilers, but the Flames were arguably the better team to start that game. Now the Canucks did some good things. Kiefer Sherwood scores a goal, but that goal, it was a rare one for Wolf to let in where Sherwood's coming down on the rush, and the Canucks had done so much deferring to others and not really getting any actual shots off on Wolf that Sherwood just said, I'm going to rip this puck. And he shot it, and it beat Wolf under the arm. A rare gaff for Wolf, but that was how they got their lead. And then really the X factor in that game was Thatcher Demko. Now, goalie's a part of the team, but Thatcher Demko stood on his head to start that game. And that's really what left the door open for the Canucks to find their legs and for the Flames to really lose theirs in the third period. Now, part of that is Flames played the night before. They're going to have more jump than a team that's just coming out in their first game of the season. So again, it's same thing that you're saying about Oilers fans. Nobody's overreacting. Like nobody's like, oh my gosh, everything's fine out here, but also nobody's like, oh my gosh, the Flames were a better team for 40 minutes last night. I think this is about what you were expecting from the Canucks. But again, that third period where they really just put the hammer down, that was where you saw the most promising things for this team. Now, can they do it for more than 20 minutes? Can they do it against a better team in the Edmonton Oilers? That's the question that we're asking tonight.
And I guess as we take maybe a longer term view of this Canucks team, and we'll pull up the lines here and take a peek at them. Is it fair to say like that blue line? I look at that blue line. I'm like, all right, Pettersson Myers, hell of a second pairing. We know how good Hughes and Hronek are, even though Oilers fans only see the Canucks a handful of times a year. I've heard great things about DPD. Are you guys still calling him that? Is that still the
Yep.
nickname there?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
heard good things about him. Like the blue line's not an issue. the Demko Lankinen 1-2 punch, that shouldn't be an issue. Like, even if one of them were to get banged up, the other one's fine. Is it really as simple as, like, if they get scoring, they'll be a playoff team?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's the thing is the big question heading into the year was, okay, can you get the scoring from people not named Elias Pettersson, not named Brock Besser, not named Quinn Hughes? Tyler, 5 goals last night for the Canucks. Not 1 point for Quinn Hughes. I don't think in my entire time covering him that's ever happened. I think that is the first time since he's ever been a Canuck that the Canucks have ever put up 5 goals and he hasn't had a point on any one of them. And hey, to their credit, the Flames did a really good job swarming him. They had a game plan and they executed it quite well. Now it led to some more chances for Filip Hronek, but they did a really good job of trying to swarm Quinn Hughes. Again, he still made some things happen. He could have had a point in this game, but I think, again, when we talk about the promising things for this team, the biggest question mark, can you get scoring from guys other than your top guys? And last night, they certainly did. Even Evander Kane contributes on the offense. Again, the first power play unit didn't look phenomenal last night, and Evander Kane's kind of someone that people are pointing at and saying, okay, not sure he was necessarily he's part of the solution there, but we'll see how that kind of transpires as the season goes along. But Kane makes a really nice pass to Jonathan Lekkerimäki in the slot, and he reps the puck past Wolf. That was another real positive, is that Jonathan Lekkerimäki kind of later in the preseason, like he started training camp really slow, so much so that I was criticizing him pretty heavily, as people of Canucks Convo will know. Lekkerimäki's really coming into his own. Really strong preseason. I mean, as Oilers fans saw, right? Like, he had the big game in Edmonton. He's really coming into his own, and that shot of his is a real threat. So that's a really real positive for Canucks fans right now.
Again, people who are diehard Canucks fan, diehard Oilers fans, there's going to be names that they don't recognize. I think enough people around Edmonton will be familiar with the Braden Coots story. He's a Sherwood Park boy, local product. Arshdeep Bains, though, playing that high up in the lineup. What's the story there?
Well, he's a hot topic in Canuckland. Again, the hometown kid, right? Arshdeep Bains, he's from Surrey. He cheered for the Canucks growing up, and he's always been a really high floor player. Like, he's not going to hurt you, right? And someone he actually reminds me of a little bit at times is Vasily Podkolzin. And obviously the Canucks gave up on Vasily Podkolzin, and there's not a Canucks fan or a Canucks media member or anybody that ever dealt with Podkolzin that isn't just super happy for Podkolzin. Sure, some Canucks fans would like him to go find success somewhere other than Edmonton, I'm sure. But Podkolzin is such a solid dude that you're so happy to see what he's been able to become in Edmonton and earning himself that extension. First and foremost, so happy for Vasily Podkolzin. But Bains reminds me of that, where it's like really high floor player where he's not going to hurt you. But the problem that the Canucks started to have with Podkolzin was, okay, well, what are you doing if you're not hurting us? Like, you got to do more than that to be on an NHL fourth line. And now I'm not talking about Podkolzin, to be clear. Now I'm switching the conversation to what it's been about Bains. To be on an NHL fourth line, you have to do more than not hurt the team. You have to be able to contribute on offense when the opportunities arise. And realistically, you have to create some of those opportunities for yourself on a fourth line. And that's something that Bains has always struggled to do at the NHL level. But the thing about him is he's taken a step even when he was with Red Deer in the dub. He took a step in his game and became a better player than he was when he started out with Red Deer. Then he goes to the Abbotsford Canucks. He's kind of a bottom six press box guy, starts to really put it together. Then he's an AHL All-Star. Then he's knocking on the door of an NHL opportunity, where now this is my hand where I'm at is last year. Again, struggles a little bit at the NHL level, shows a solid baseline game that's not going to hurt you, but fans are banging their head against the wall wondering, when is this guy going to start contributing in on the offense? And now we're here. Now we're at this season where he looks a little faster. He is getting a ton of compliments from the coaching staff, and people are still, there's a ton of criticism for him of, oh my gosh, he doesn't bring offense. He gets an assist on Filipino's goal last night. And realistically, the story with Bains, I know you asked about him being in the top six. The real story with Bains last night was how good he looked on the penalty kill. The Canucks penalty kill went 4-for-4. They're missing Pia Suter this year. They don't have Teddy Bluger right now. They need guys to step up on the penalty kill because a couple seasons ago it was atrocious. They addressed it last year. It was great last year. Bains was really, really good on the penalty kill last night. So that's kind of where we're at with Bains right now, is you contributed some offense, and now let's see what you can do from there. He had a pretty solid opening night, I'd say.
The penalty kill is interesting because the Oilers power play in their opener was absolutely back up to its old tricks. Like they scored twice. Nugent-Hopkins scored like 25 seconds into their first power play of the season. And then in the second period, Draisaitl made it 2-0. And that one too was 50 seconds into their power play. So they banged home two on the power play in quick succession. So to maybe flip things over then to the Oilers and their lineup for tonight and some of the names that maybe Canucks fans won't know all that well, especially when it comes to the forward group. I shouldn't say you won't know all that well, but maybe haven't seen a lot. Matt Savoy's the top 10 pick from a couple of years ago. He looked good in the opener. He plays like a pretty quiet game, though. It's smart. I kind of laughed watching him. I'm like, oh, yeah, he'll play 1,000 games in the NHL because he knows how to penalty kill. He has decent scoring touch, and he's just a really smart hockey player. He's never out of position. Ike Howard, 53, picked him up from the Lightning in that big trade over the summer. Hobie Baker winner from last year. He can fucking rip the puck. And it's a loud shot. He missed the net a couple times against the Flames, and it was like, whoa, it's off his stick in an absolute hurry. And then David Tomasek is the other one. He's a 29-year-old rookie. He spent the last 10 years playing overseas. He led the SHL in goals the last 2 seasons, and the Oilers actually like him so much, they are using him on their top power play unit. He's taking the spot from Zach Hyman. So he's playing top power play minutes. He made a sweet feed on their third goal of the game where it was like a no-look behind the back feed to Draisaitl, and that's how the Oilers got their eventual 3-0 lead that they went on to blow. So Tomasek's an interesting one. They liked him so much last game that when they got a power play in overtime, they kept Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who had 3 points in the game, on the bench because they wanted Tomasek out there. So he can shoot the puck. He's a really, really big body. But what's interesting about this Oilers team, last year, coming into the regular season, oldest roster in the NHL. And now you look, and while maybe the age is still like a little up there, Savoy, young, rookie. Howard, rookie. Noah Philp, still technically a rookie, centering the fourth line. David Tomasek, a rookie at 29 years old. Even on the blue line, a guy like Alec Regula's in because Jake Wallman's banged up and won't be ready to go for tomorrow night either. He's technically still a rookie. So the Oilers have kind of bought into like this youth movement, so to speak. And I think they're going to use this first half of the year to kind of filter out like, okay, is Savoy good enough to be on a playoff roster? Is Howard good enough to be a guy who can contribute in a deep playoff run? Is David Tomasek an NHLer? Is Noah Philp an NHLer? Like, they seem way more open to maybe experimenting in this first part of the season with some young players, which is kind of a breath of fresh air. And I know Canucks fans might roll their eyes and be like, you've been to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. What are you talking about? Like a breath of fresh air. But it's nice to see the Oilers buy into like some youth here and give these guys a look. So weirdly enough, there will be some fresh faces that maybe Canucks fans won't know in this lineup tonight.
Okay, now name we do know. Where the hell's Troy Stecher? What's going on?
Tony Stretch. He's sitting on the sidelines, and it's
Bad idea.
They're in a bit of like a roster pinch right now, not salary cap wise, but they're really scared to lose someone to waivers. So they have Regula, who they claimed last year from the Boston Bruins. Regula was recovering from a knee injury. He basically hasn't played hockey in 18 months. The Oilers, without seeing him play a game in the organization, gave him a 2-year deal. So they see something in him. He needs waivers. Ty Emberson, he's making 1.4. He needs waivers. Troy Stecher isn't in the lineup, even though there's an injury right now. So you can presume he's number 8 on the depth chart. He needs waivers. I don't think they want to lose him to waivers. You go to the forward group, they don't want to lose Noah Philp to waivers. So they have Wallman on IR, Janmark on IR, Hyman on LTIR. And I legitimately think there's a chance Troy Stecher hits the waiver wire in the next like 7 days.
Damn. Okay. So this Oilers team, like obviously the I don't want to say expectation, but would you say it's fair to call it the expectation that this team goes to the Cup final again? Like that's the goal, at least, right? Like win the Stanley Cup. That's what this team. Yeah. Okay. So this is the expectation, right?
Yeah. Cup or bust every year for the next 3 years now with McDavid.
Absolutely. Okay. So with that in mind, what's the biggest thing? And I know goaltending might be the cop out, but like, what's the biggest thing you're looking at during the regular season as you analyze this team and say, this is going to be the difference maker for this team in the regular season as they get set for the playoffs?
I think, if Wallman gets healthy, which he should be, he'll be ready by their road trip next week. I think they actually have one of the better blue lines in the NHL. I won't say best. I know the Athletic had him at like number 2 with all their analytics, but like I think the Oilers have like top 10, maybe getting close to a top 5 blue line. Like Ekholm looked awesome in the first game, and that's like a big sigh of relief for Oilers fans because he came back from that major injury in the Cup final, was terrible. in the Cup final. And a lot of Oilers fans were like, oh man, 35 years old are his best days behind him. But Ekholm looked like the Ekholm of old. So like Ekholm Bouchard, legit top pairing. If Darnell Nurse and Jake Wallman can work well together, I love Jake Wallman. I think he is like a really good number 3. That's a high-end second pairing. And if one of Regula or Emberson can stick on the third pair with Brett Kulak, who's a really, really good defenseman, I think he's going to get paid next year, then it's like, oh man, all these D pairings are good. If that can help make the goaltending maybe look average or a tick above average, and that forward group is absolutely loaded, and that's without Roslovic now, who not going to play tonight against the Canucks, but he probably will play in Tuesday when they're in New York to play the Rangers. You got to fit Roslovic in there. You got to fit Hyman in at some point. Like, you kind of look at this and it's like, okay, you take Kapanen out for Roslovic. Are you taking Tomasic? No, they like him. Okay, are you taking Philp out? He needs waivers if you're going to send him down. Like, they have a lot of talent up front now. So scoring shouldn't be an issue, but maybe the other thing, just because it's always a problem in Edmonton until it's not, scoring when Connor and Leon are off the ice. They were still minus 22 at 5-on-5 with those two off the ice last year. They got to score with Connor and Leon off the ice. So the roster, everything looks good on paper. There's just maybe like little things with every area. And then obviously goaltending. I think it'll be Pickard in this game, although we haven't gotten a confirmed starter yet. But Connor Ingram's sitting in the minors. So like every game that Pickard doesn't look good or Skinner doesn't look good, this fan base is just clawing like, all right, when do you give Ingram a look? How long until Ingram's up to speed? So there's pressure on the two goalies this season, which is good, I guess. Like, there's good to make sure they're both, again, feeling something here because their spots aren't guaranteed. Their jobs aren't guaranteed.
Quickly transitioning back to the Canucks, think it's going to be a Thatcher Demko start this evening, and it's a really interesting conversation to have just when you look at the Canucks goaltending because they've got it locked up and they're very confident in these two guys. And I wrote this at Canucks Army over the summer. Like, the Canucks get the best version of Thatcher Demko if they can limit his starts. And as we saw last year with Lankinen, when he started to, slip up a little bit at the end of the year, you get the best version of Kevin Lankinen when you limit his starts. So the Canucks hope that they've got the formula to win a bunch of games with these two guys as their goalies. Demko didn't steal them the game against the Flames by any means, but he was absolutely instrumental. And that's why I think he's getting the start tonight against Edmonton. You keep a guy who almost had a shutout, lost the shutout in the third period. You keep that guy in against a team like the Oilers, who again have so much firepower up front, move the puck really well, east-west, love to create off the rush. Demko's really good at those, so that's kind of why I think it's going to be a Demko start. But as we analyze both lineups here, Demko's really solid, but obviously Lankinen they're very, very high on as well. So it's an interesting one to just kind of compare the rosters.
Yeah. So what do you, and I know you kind of said this earlier, you threw out, I think 50, but is 50-32 the split between Demko and Lankinen this year if all goes to plan?
Yeah, I would say even less, but again, here I am saying, oh, back-to-back games, you start Thatcher Demko. So, it's fun to throw out numbers and say, oh, 45. If 45 for Demko is perfect. It's fun to say that, but what does that actually look like? Go look at their schedule and map it out. Because here I am, like I said, first 2 games of the season, and I'm emphatically saying Thatcher Demko starts, both of them. And then you've got the Blues on Monday, back at Rogers Arena. Probably go to Lankinen for that one, but if they go Demko, nobody's going to really bat an eye. So that could be 3 straight starts for Demko. I don't think it will be, but you have to kind of map it all out. And the more times you say Demko, well, the more it's going to be harder to keep him at that number. So the Canucks, like I said this before the season too, is like the Canucks should basically have sat down and looked at the schedule and said, this is a Demko start. This is a Lankinen start. And they should have mapped it all out before the season starts because it is so easy to let the current results of the guys. And of course you have to have your pulse on what's actually happening at the time, right? It's so easy to let that influence your decisions, but that's the same old with Thatcher Demko that we always see is just like, well, Demko's playing so well. He's playing at a Vezina level. So the other guy's fine. He's playing great, but he's not playing as great as Thatcher Demko. And then you slip into this mindset of, well, we've got to play Demko because we want wins, which this team could easily find themselves in that position. So again, I say, yeah, you're right. Like 50 starts, sure. But throwing out numbers is so hard to do right now because you just don't know where this team's going to be and what position they're going to be put in 2-3 months from now.
good problems to have on the goaltending front. You have
Sure,
two
sure.
great goal. Oilers fans are like, God damn it, we'll take either one of them if it's too much for you guys. Okay, two more things I want to do quickly. Firstly, for our friends at Greta, there's a location in downtown Edmonton. There's a location in Vancouver. Perfect sponsor for this. Arcade, bar, street food, whether you're in Edmonton and not going to the game, whether you're in Vancouver and want to watch from afar, Greta
Watch
is the
party.
spot.
We've got our watch party. Greta
Is it,
Bar,
it is
YVR. Yeah.
tomorrow?
Yeah. It's yeah. The
There we go.
Edmonton, Vancouver. Yeah. Doors open
Perfect.
6 p.m. Come hang out.
And
Nationgear.ca.
if you're in Edmonton, we're doing pre and post game shows from the Greta in Edmonton as well. Keys to victory quads. If the Canucks win, it will be because
Thatcher Demko plays well. I
all right.
think that's important. A potent offense. The penalty kill stands up. Like you said, the Oilers' power play was so good. That kind of ties into Thatcher Demko, but I'll count that as the second one. And the third one, score goals. Like it sounds so simple, but score goals. You're going to have to put the puck in the back of the net. And again, just because they did it in game one, like I said, they came alive in the third period. Really promising look. You have to keep doing it, and it's going to remain a question until this team can do it for a sustained period of time. So those are my three keys.
For Edmonton, just building off of that first game, it'll be like, don't make a dumb mistake. Like if Calvin Pickard does get the start, don't give up an egregious goal. You can give up one where it's like, maybe you should have had that. You can't give up an egregious goal. If you're the Oilers, just don't give the Canucks anything easy. And I think Edmonton should be fine. Again, that's maybe a cocky mindset, but they've been to back-to-back cup finals. I think they're one of the better rosters in the NHL. Like on most nights, I think if the Oilers just do not shoot themselves in the foot and play relatively mistake-free hockey, they should be fine. Against Calgary, it was like 3 blatant mistakes, and they still ended up going to a shootout. If you can make it one bad mistake, you'll have a pretty decent shot at this game. So no big mistakes from the Oilers, and that's from the crease on out. To wrap for Bet365, download the app today. Use the promo code NATION, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. The Oilers are favorites, minus 180. The Canucks are plus 150. The over-under is set at 6. Quads, I know a lot of Oilers games, people just love blindly going over. I think it could be a sneaky under. I think it's either like 3-2 really tight late. Maybe you get a push because it's 4-2 with an empty netter. But like if Vancouver wins, I could very easily see it being like 4-1.
Yeah, I like that too, Tyler. I do, because it's like I said, like the first opening 40 minutes, that was a really low scoring, low event game that the Canucks played against the Calgary Flames. So I like that. I hear what you're saying about over, people love it against the Oilers. Like not to jinx anyone here, but the Canucks aren't the best at creating offense, at least right now. Like game one was promising, but that's a big question mark heading into this season. And Thatcher Demko doesn't give up a lot of goals. So we'll see. We'll see what that what that leads to.
Last one, I guess. Let's each pick one from our respective sides. Give me like an off the radar, like you can't pick Besser, DeBrusk, Pedersen. Give me an under the radar anytime goal scorer for Bet365.
Oh, easy layup. I mean, Jonathan Lekermacki is really good. We picked him yesterday, and the odds were like plus 450. That was Lekermacki can absolutely rip the puck.
Plus
But
550 today.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, I might go Lekermacki, but I have to also say Braden Coots earns himself another day in the NHL. That's been the theme for Braden Coots, 18-year-old from Sherwood Park. What a story this kid's been. Adam Foote already confirmed that he's going to be in the lineup tonight. His friends, his family, they showed up well. Some of them in Oilers jerseys for the preseason game that Coots played at Rogers Place, but he gets a regular season game. His ice time will be limited, of course, but I'm still going with Braden Coots. That's my anytime goal scorer. I like that.
I like Braden Coots. Good local product. I think he was talking about how many tickets he had to buy for this first game or something like that. Anyways, he had some family actually, I think, fly out to Vancouver, some friends for the game, and then they're coming to watch, or for the game against Calgary. Then they're coming back to Edmonton for the homecoming. But I'll go. I'll maybe go similar. I think I might go Matt Savoy. Plus 350. He's Edmonton's local story. He's born and raised here. Actually, he was joking with Jason Gregor the other day that he hasn't quite gotten the permanent residence like set up here. He hasn't found an apartment or a house. He's still living at home. How many NHLers are still living at home when they're playing in the league quads?
Oh,
man, the only one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think in the past who I've thought of, because like there's a few out here that, like, okay, you know the story of Bedard, right? When Bedard came out here, he like just passed on staying with the team in the hotel. He just slept at his house in
No
North
way.
Van. Yeah, I swear to God. Yeah, he was very open about it. He's like, yeah, it was awesome. I slept in my bed, like, because this is where he lives in the off season, right? Like he
Yep.
lives with his parents in the off season. He doesn't have a separate home out here in Vancouver. Can't afford that yet. He's gonna have to make a few more millions before he's able to do that. But yeah, he just slept in his bed, which is so funny that he was just yeah, ready. Like I'm convinced that if he did somehow end up a Canuck in his rookie years in the NHL, he would still live at home because I think that dude really likes where he lives.
Hey, save your money. Real estate's expensive. All right,
Yeah.
yes. I'll go Matt Savoy. Playing on a second line, and the Oilers will probably need someone outside of the big guns to score if they're going to solve Thatcher Demko enough times to win. Quads, this was a lot of fun for Oilers fans who are new to it. Canucks Conversation with Quads and Harman Dial every weekday on the Canucks Army YouTube. Appreciate you doing this, Quads, and we'll chat next time we meet.
Hell yeah. Love it.
When do we
Thanks, man.
play next? I don't even know the schedule that well.
28th, I think, isn't it? Or maybe
Yeah.
that's Rangers Canucks.
We'll figure it out eventually.
And we'll do another crossover, Tyler, because I love doing these with you. It's always a ton of fun. 26th.
There
October
you go.
26th.
26th. All right, that's a wrap, everybody. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. If you're a baseball fan, enjoy the baseball and enjoy the hockey. We'll see you all next time.